today we are going to talk about money. Now, how many of you just cringed? It's okay, you are not alone. Money is one of those topics that people tend to shy away from, very similar to politics and religions, and we're definitely not talking about politics today. But regardless, we are talking about money, and it's important that we do. Did you know that nearly half of Americans say that money is one of the most difficult topics to discuss? Another study found that 4 out of 10 Americans admit to keeping financial secrets from their partner. So if this topic makes you a little anxious, try not to worry. I'm not going to ask everyone to pull out their cell phones right now and share sensitive financial information with your neighbor or your partner. Instead, we're just going to focus on me. I'm a saver. My wife knows this all too well. She says that that's how we balance each other out. She likes to spend, I don't. A match made in heaven, right? In fact, when we go grocery shopping, I'm always trying to encourage her to get the off-brand products or to swing by Aldi's to see if we could get something cheaper. It hasn't worked, but I'm still trying. When it comes to trips, my wife is always trying to plan these elaborate vacations, and I'm like, babe, can we just do a staycation? And I'm not talking about in Atlanta either. I'm talking about right here in Athens, Georgia. I'm sure there's some free parks, museums, and exhibits we have yet to explore. And when it comes to cars, we have completely different tastes. My wife really wants an Acura. Me, on the other hand, if I could get, and I'm being honest here, if I could get 500,000 miles out of my 2005 Toyota Camry, I would be the happiest man alive. From the outside looking in, you might not think much about my saving behaviors other than the fact that I'm cheap, I prefer frugal. But why do I save the way that I do? When I was about 9 or 10 years of age, I remember running into my mom's room and plopping down on the bed right beside her while she was working on her budget. And I could see it like it was yesterday. There was this column and there were all these numbers. Some she had scratched through, others she had put question marks next to. And then there was this line, and then there were more numbers that continued past it. I didn't see it when I was younger, but as I got a little bit older, I came to realize that the numbers beneath the line were the bills that probably weren't going to get paid that month. The weight of that moment still sticks with me today. It's impacted my relationship with money. In fact, after that, I stopped asking for things. I stopped asking for birthday gifts and Christmas presents because I did not want to be the source of her frustration. I did not want to be another number on her budget. I wish I could tell you all that I'm a saver because I'm a PhD student in an amazing financial planning program here at the University of Georgia, but I save because I never want to experience the moment my mother and I shared all of those years ago. See, when we focus only on the numbers, we miss out on the story that's driving it. Matter of fact, a colleague was telling me a story about a lady who had gone in to get her taxes filed. And about halfway through, the volunteer tax preparer realized that the lady was going to receive a really sizable tax refund. So he asked her, "What do you plan on doing with that refund?" And she says with this big old grin, "I'm going to buy a really big flat screen television." The volunteer tax preparer after that tried to do everything within his power to get her not to buy the television and to save that money instead, but she would not budge. So at the very end of the tax filing process, he just had to ask, "Why is that flat screen television so important to you?" She turns around and looks at him and says, "Well, I stay in a really rough neighborhood. And if I buy this flat screen television, and I can keep my kids and their friends in our home as opposed to running around in the streets, then that's just one thing that I'm going to do to try to keep them safe. The volunteer tax preparer made a snap judgment about that lady, like many of you just did. Be honest. As soon as I said she was going to buy that big flat screen television, a lot of you at the back of your minds were like, she's about to blow that money. Again, when we only focus on the numbers, it's even easy to make snap judgments about someone's character, level of education, or their ability to make sound financial decisions. Believe it or not, we even do this in the financial services industry. We make recommendations to clients, and if they don't follow our expert, logically sound advice, then there's something wrong with the client and not our process. We don't spend a lot of time thinking about the whys, why one client didn't complete the spending plan, why another didn't make a harmless call to the creditors, or why a struggling mother of two refuses to set foot in a public assistance office. But I know better. There's always a story beneath the numbers. And if we would ask, we might find out that the client who did not complete the spending plan didn't do so because every time he looks at his expenses, he's induced with a high level of anxiety. Or we might find out that the client who didn't make the harmless call to the creditors to request a lower interest rate on her credit cards doesn't do so because she was raised in a household where she was harshly reprimanded every time she asked for something. As my 4-year-old would say, you get what you get, you don't pitch a fit. Or we might find that the struggling mother of two who doesn't want to set foot in a public assistance office doesn't do so because she's ashamed that she's in a place that she never thought she would be in. Empathy does not equal complacency. Let me say that again. Empathy does not equal complacency. Listening to someone's story does not mean we're accepting excuses for inaction. It's the complete opposite. It's only when we understand the stories of the people we serve that we're able to create solutions where they are and not where we expect them to be. Let's go back to the struggling mother of two. She came in to see me, and after I assessed everything, I made the recommendation that you need to be on public assistance. And she would not do it. We went meeting after meeting, and I would think we were getting close, but she just wouldn't budge. And it wasn't until about the third or fourth meeting that she had mentioned that she was embarrassed. And a light bulb went off. I realized that I had been approaching our sessions entirely wrong. So the next week when she came in, we took more time to talk about how she didn't have to set foot in a public assistance office and that she could apply for those benefits online from the comforts of her own home. We also talked about how when she got her benefits card, that it would be indistinguishable from any other card that she held in her pocketbook. Within about a month's time of that last meeting, she applied for and received the benefits her and her family desperately needed. Learning to care about the stories beneath the numbers is how I've come to create better rapport with my clients and have learned to create solutions that yield greater results. But it's important to know that you all have a story as well. How you've internalized your story with regards to your relationship with money, whether you see it or not, has real consequences on the way that you live your lives today. So I want to invite all of you to take some time to get to know your story. It doesn't have to be today, it doesn't have to be tomorrow. It can be 3 months from now, but when you do, You will have greater awareness as to why you make the financial decisions that you make. And that heightened sense of awareness is one of the first steps that any of us can take towards financial wellness. Beyond that, and most importantly, when we're sensitive to our own stories, it's easier to connect, understand, and empathize with the stories of others. So, whether you're a financial planner making a recommendation to a client, a couple getting ready to roll up your sleeves and tackle your financial affairs, or a bystander casting judgment on a financial decision someone just made, you all have a very important choice to make. Will you choose to focus only on the numbers, or will you search for the story that lies beneath? Thank you.